All right. Yes, yes, yes. We are back again for another live open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host. Uh, it could be the Big Bad Wolf or it be Uncle Ron. Uh, we already know Auntie will add her 50 cents to the topic. So tonight, February 17th at 9 p.m., we will be discussing the topic, The Secret History of Gen X, how their experiences became their children's reality, from the impact of divorce and single parenthood to the rise of LGBTQ plus movement. Gen Xers experience shaped their parenting styles and the secrets they kept from their kids. What were those secrets and how did they affect the next generation? Some of the secrets were drugs, sex, the family dynamics, mental health, self care, and alternative cultures. Here are a few direct impacts: increased anxiety and fears, difficulty with intimacy, substance abuse, risk taking behaviors, the use of technology and social media, and overprotectiveness as parents. Buckle up, folks. This is a loaded discussion that will go through many peaks and turns throughout the broadcast. But just remember, please like and share our video. And don't forget to tell a Gen Xer to tell another Gen Xer to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. We're sitting at, I think, 937 subs, 13 away from the next goal of 950. We are getting there, one sub at a time. So here we are. Happy President's Day. I'll take it. Day off from school. Happy birthday to the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Uh, and there's a few other people. Shout out to Black Ernie Bivens. Happy birthday. Uh,
Orange
Kimberly
birthday, happy
and
birthday.
Bradbury. So I always remember their birthdays because it's the same birthday date as Michael Jordan. So we have it. I hope everybody had a great day off. I hope all you ladies got everything y'all wanted for. Is it Valentine or Valentine? I don't know. Whatever that day is. Hope you all got what you wanted for Valentine's Day. Seen a couple interesting videos about that too. That kind of, I was like, okay. I guess he was saying with a lot of men are probably afraid to say, and then I'm gonna pass it on. I'm gonna sum that up and then pass it on to are you Ron C, or is this the big bad wolf? Ron C.
Yeah, it's Uncle Ron tonight.
Okay, so he was basically it was a guy on TikTok, and he was like, listen, it's like, listen, ladies, and he was kind of just saying about Valentine's Day. He was like, listen, he said, I never met a man who said, man, I look forward to Valentine's Day. I look forward to it. He said, he said, we don't pretty much we don't give a fuck about that day. He said most men are out there being goal oriented, trying to accomplish goals, get money, and do whatever. And it's like, but of course we'll get you something, but it doesn't, it doesn't mean like we, kind of like it's genuine or not. You just do it to kind of go through the routine. Eh, he said because we know, or other than that, it's going to be, probably be some shit. He said so. Just keep that in mind. And I'm like, mm, mm. Now, you had guys that do that and go through, but it's, you know, some women get very emotional behind that holiday. But I guess also what he was saying is that real men celebrate you all throughout. They're going to get you stuff throughout. Right, like I always say, random stuff. Like when you're not even thinking about it. Oh, I was at the mall, seeing this, or maybe something pops up on social media, and you, oh, she'll look cute in that. Oh, she'll like this. Shit, TikTok, all types of things come on through there, and Amazon and all that stuff. So cherish those moments. And you can't be good in math if you take Valentine's Day and that outweighs the other days. You actually
Yeah.
probably stunk in math, but if you put all your eggs in the basket on that day, cherish those moments of what they do, what men do throughout. Now, if he ain't doing nothing throughout no damn day, then you got another problem. But if he's on point and tries to make sure everything is good and shows you love and affection and all that stuff throughout, hey, um, shouldn't be no complaints. All right, what you got for us, Ron C?
Uncle Ron agrees. Uncle Ron's got a little, a little bit of rotation. He's got one or two women that he sends some chocolates to. He knows what the favorite flowers are, so he send them something from a little something from FTD. But fellas, sometimes you gotta break the mold, and I think that's what David's talking about. Don't wait for a cold day in February to get that oven right, if you will. I'm about Big Bad Wolf's term. If you want to move some furniture before moving day comes, plan ahead. And something I saw somewhere else that was kind of unique. You really want something? You really want bonus points? You really want bounty points? Wait till the day after, week after, rent out a nice spot, candlelit dinner, just the two of you. And set it up. Don't do what you normally do. Don't do necessarily the rose petals or all of the other stuff, man. Just something different, something that she ain't never seen before, something she's never experienced before. Because that's what women love. They love experiences. They live for them. And find out. And you don't necessarily have to ask her. Ask your friends. Ask your friends. Hey, what does she like to do? What does she talk about? You know, you know what? You might have to buy from a past relationship. She might tell you that her ex boyfriend used to do this and do that. Hey, don't get upset. That's information. And what does the big bad wolf always tell you about it? Know what you know. And if you know some of these things, yeah, use it to your advantage. Because we have to remember, there's a particular reason a woman got with a man, whether she don't like him or not, like him now or not, don't matter. So find out what he did that she liked. Replicate that. Take him out and search yourself in there. So all the memories that she used to have in him, you replace them. I'm just some words from the uncle. And there's something else I want to address that's happened over the weekend. And if you're not hockey fans, I understand it don't matter. There's a little matter of a cross-border rivalry, shall we say. It's certainly now it's getting that way, where it all stemmed from the booing of the national anthem in, I believe, Ottawa. And there's four, I think it's a Four Nations Challenge hockey tournament. And Team USA took umbrage to that. And them boys came out and they served notice. They said, hey, look, we'll tolerate disrespect. Now, sports is generally supposed to be non-political. And, a lot of people are upset with the Trump election, and I understand, we're in a world of uncertainty, which is part of what we can discuss tonight. But when things of this nature come to pass, so many, because these kind of things, they can morph, they can escalate. And that's what happened during that game. I never seen any hockey game, maybe playoff hockey, I suppose, where three fights occurred in less than 10 seconds. And it didn't matter who was on the ice in terms of trying to match up. Coaches didn't know. And some people are saying the coaches didn't know. I don't think the coaches knew because they didn't send out the fighters. These were just regular people, or regular players, I should say, out there scrapping. So, hey, but I would much rather have that than bombs being dropped. So that's that. But yeah, fellas, don't wait. Plan stuff, do stuff, be spontaneous because they like to say, "Oh, he's boring. He don't do anything. He don't take me anywhere. He don't spend any money." Well, fellas, plan accordingly. Spend a few pennies. Put some brownie points in that jar.
All right, and I'm gonna bring Auntie in. She like was adamant that she need to come in earlier. I guess I don't know. She said something about she was running late, whatever. Texted me and like she need to hurry up and get in. I think she a little might have overslept or something. So let me bring her in. See what she got to say. Good evening, fellas. How you doing, counselor? And how you doing, Big Bad Wolf? Don't mind
She
me
got
and
her
my
hair done.
unfocused self, but I
Yes,
called
sir.
myself getting my hair done. My niece had owed me a solid, and she told me to come down to the salon. And I was in there for 3 hours, got my hair done, and I fell asleep and I look a mess. It was so cute earlier. But, anyways, I'm going to share my points briefly, and I ain't going to take that long. I'm going to go right through it. Um, I guess we're talking about Gen X's, the history and secrets of Gen X, and also how their experiences impacted, became the reality of their children. So I wanted to focus on the social and cultural impact. Well, no, I'm going to start off with the emotional and psychological impact. And and I had mentioned this earlier about the increased anxiety and stress. Well, I guess the Gen Xers drove these kids to that point that all these kids now, everybody got ADHD, ADD, all of these anxiety and stress, depression. Now, I keep telling people, don't claim that. And you see a lot of young ladies talking about, they got anxiety, and even women. And I say, don't claim that. Like, you know what anxiety is? That's when you're having preoccupied thoughts and worries. And I said, and that leads to depression. And they like, not in all cases. Well, you tell me, if you got preoccupied thoughts and fears, ain't that gonna make you sad? Ain't that gonna make you depressed if you feeling like that all day? Don't y'all think that? When your mind is just going and going like my head, it was so cute, y'all. Y'all should know that. It was so cute. And your mind is racing all the time. That you gonna be sad. So that's one of the things that impacted them. In emotional numbing, these kids don't have, these young people don't have no empathy whatsoever. You know, things that you think you would feel bad about. That's why these killings and stuff like that are in school. The bullying, the cyberbullying, and the disrespect they have for elderly. Like that generation after the X's, man, y'all did a doozy. Y'all did a doozy with them. So the emotional numbness, whatever, is at an all-time high. Just not feeling nothing. They don't have no sympathy, no empathy, and nothing. Uh, and difficult difficulties with intimacy. And I mentioned that earlier. You barely ever seldom see any these young people holding hands. They don't know how to be intimate because they're so cold hearted. And then if you got emotional numbness, whatever, you can't be intimate because you're not feeling nothing. You're not feeling nothing for it. You ain't got that tingle or them sparks. And you're just existing. And yeah, we got to do something with these young people. Do something with their hearts real fast. They need heart transplants or something because it's tough. It's tough. And and then also with behavior, the behavioral impact, substance abuse. Like these kids be doing a lot of stuff, whatever. That's why you seeing the rise in like overdoses, whatever, with young people. And that's probably because the exes remember um, when you talk about Gen Xers, you're talking about people that was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I don't know. I don't know when Woodstock started and all of that. And then people wanted to be free, just smoking reefer and all of that. That had an impact. Then remember in the 80s, the crack epidemic came out. So people was doing, the first they was doing cocaine, then they started doing cooked up crack. And, you had crack babies. So a lot of these young people are crack babies. They don't know it. And and they kept, and the parents hid that from them. They never really told them that they was doing drugs heavy. And then they had children. And then you wonder why these minds are racing and these kids are all over the place. Um, Risk-taking behaviors. Like these kids, they drive recklessly. They, having unprotected sex. It's just a wild culture. And then, and there's some power words on here. I could never say this word. Promiscuous. Just sleeping around, just sleeping around. And they doing it at a young age. And because these cell phones and this stuff like that, and these images and being able to watch porn and all that stuff at a young age, well, that's gonna want people to start doing things. They start doing things. Yeah, I do know, like at the young age when these people got these cell phones and stuff like that, that they uh sending nudes and stuff when they're in elementary. So, you're sending news to a boy, his little horny mannish ass going eventually want to have sex with you. It's a lot, and I'm trying to cover it fast because I got a late start. I was in SMI for like 3 hours, like I said. It was just too much. I ain't going back there no more. Uh, and what else? Uh, the social and cultural impact, diversity and inclusivity, uh, that this on that generation after the X's, they more diverse. They learn to include like the LGBTQ XYZ. I don't know. It's too much to keep up with. But in our days, those people kind of was isolated. They kept to themselves. They didn't come out the closet. But now it's acceptable. It's acceptable. The country didn't change some of their rules and all that stuff. That people identify with he, she, and they like, I don't know what that's about. I don't like when I go to a bathroom and it ain't one for women and ain't one for man and all that stuff. Like, come on, people, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We got to keep some things right. But you know what? I'm gonna leave it at that because we running out of time, and I don't want to be the one because I could go on and on. But I know this gonna come back around. It's gonna come back around full circle. So everybody have a great night. I'm tired. I'm gonna call it a night, and y'all stay blessed up again. Be well, stay warm, and keep yourself out of trouble. And remember, Auntie loves you. Auntie loves you. And if y'all think I'm somebody different, if y'all come on here, I just got my hair done. Had to cover up that gray. So I'm gonna go wrap it up. I'm gonna go wrap this up, and I'm gonna have me a little shot of bourbon, and I'm gonna call it a night. But I hope y'all have a great show, and I'll see y'all next time, and I'm gonna be a little more together. I apologize to the counselor in the big bad world. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Auntie set it on fire.
Yeah. All right. So, what's your take?
Man, I'm going. She said something that was very, very interesting, and I'll start by saying this: experience is great if you have it. As a cohort, Gen X is in a very nebulous position. We're at the crossroads from the past to the future. Divorce and increase single parenthood, just like Auntie said, LGBT, legalized drugs, just was stated in the promotion. We as teachers, parents, older aunts and uncles, the first thing we need to do is we need to start being honest with these kids. And I'll say that like this. And I'm sure you probably had this happen in your school, David.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to a 16-year-old girl or boy if they come up to you and ask you, when was the first time you sent a naked picture to somebody? What age were you? How would you respond to that?
How would I respond?
Just anybody. Yeah, you can take that. Yeah.
I don't know. I got a smart, slick mouth, so I probably would break them down like what are you gonna do with that information or something, and kind of throw them off. But then I may say never, and kind of go into the effects of sending that and what can potentially happen. And I think once you kind of rear them off, and then they'll get off of the personal element, and then start focusing on, oh, people can really do that. Oh, they can do that. Then you share, like, I had some students that were here in middle school, and then they went on to high school, and their reputation was damaged for good. So I would kind of take the focus off me, pass the medicine ball back to them, and then go around it. And I guess that's dancing around. But you know, it's okay to self-disclose, but certain things you don't want to give them too much information because they run with it. They run with it.
Yeah, see the reason why I asked that particular question is because that's something that Gen X never had to deal with. Was not even an option. So when I say when we don't have the answers or things of that nature, we need to be honest. We need to say, you know what, young girl, young man, I never had the opportunity to do some of the things that you guys had the opportunity to. The technology wasn't there. And what I would hope is that, similar to what David said and what Daphne is saying, is what are you going to do with that information? But the better question, at least in my non-professional opinion, is in that regard is, are you interested or potentially thinking about doing it yourself? Because most of these kids, they want to know what can happen if they do it, similar to what Daphne is saying, especially young girls, and they don't know. They don't know the long-term ramifications and the impact. That's something, to them, it's innocent. The same way that Freak League was innocent for Gen X, until all of a sudden people started talking about, oh, we're going to put this on the wire. We're going to put this on the big tube. And all of a sudden now you heard a gaggle of people, especially women at that age, they were saying, oh, no, 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 no. Because now they understand the damage that can do. That's the same situation that these young kids are in. So we have to be mindful of certain things. We have to be mindful of what and anybody else that's in the know will call age-appropriate behavior. For them, it's appropriate to do it. Why? Because all their friends are doing it. It's peer pressure, and it's older than any of us that are listening to this or going to listen to this. So we have to be able to give these kids the tools so that they can understand that just because your friends are doing it doesn't mean that you should do it. And then you go a little further. What is this going to get you? And ultimately, they were going to say, there's this guy that I like, or there's this, boy that's putting pressure on me to do this. And you say, hey, look, sit down, have a talk with him. And you know what? If you're uncomfortable talking to him, let me know who he is. I'll talk to him on your behalf. Because a lot of these kids, they're running around without the appropriate adults to guide them. And some people will say, you know what? Well, that's not my fault. They should have planned better. You know what? You're absolutely correct. But that still should not negate a personal responsibility if, and I stress if, one cares enough to not want to see a young child that's groping in the dark looking for answers to be left to grope with no answers. I think that's cruel. I think it's inhumane, and it's borderline punitive to the kid who doesn't know. They don't. They come into this world a blank slate. And it's our job as stewards, hopefully good stewards, to help them along their way. Because there's pitfalls for all of us. Nobody's born into this life without the ability to fall victim to something. The average person, let's look at it like this. If you just happen to come into $1 million, what would the average person do? Don't matter, because in about 2-3 months, they wouldn't have that $1 million. Nobody's ever pulled them aside and told them about investing money. Nobody's ever pulled them aside and talked to them about buying real estate, doing this, doing that, so that money lasts you. This is why we see a lot of athletes go broke. They say, hey, nobody ever told me, man, I thought this money was going to be there for a long time. This story. When Charles Barkley first came into the league, drafted by the 76ers, I think it was 84, 85. I think the same year Mike got drafted. He had all these cars, and Dr. J, shout out to the doc, he said, Chuck, how many cars you got? He said, 6. He said, why? He said, how many can you drive at once? He said, 1. He said, so get the rest of those cars back, sell them back. Get you 1, and if you like another one, get you 2. He said, but this money has to last you for the rest of your life. It's the same thing with the information that these kids don't get, that they need. This information will be with them for the rest of their life. But unlike money, you don't earn information like that. That information has to be given to you. And if the adults in these kids' life don't have that information, they're at a terrible disadvantage. There's a song by the Romantics called Talking in Your Sleep. And the song goes, I hear the secrets that you keep when you're talking in your sleep. And I really didn't think about that until I started to put this together. And I was like, we keep a lot of secrets from our kids. We don't tell them about the first time we got drunk. We don't tell them about the first time we got high. We don't tell them about the first time we shot up with some heroin. Why? We don't want to look bad. Well, guess what? If looking bad as an adult is going to help a child look good, look as bad as you need to look. Let those kids know that you smoke, you did dope, that you were drinking underage. Not so that they're warned, it's so that they know that you're going to do some things. You may not be proud of them. And that it's not the end of the world. What you don't want to do is develop that into a habit. You don't want those kind of behaviors to stop you from succeeding and excelling and getting to a point in life where you can either give back or you can teach your kids. Because and I always say this, parenting is not a job, it's a responsibility. As a parent, your responsibility should be to leave your children in a better position than you were in, particularly at their age.
I was just laughing at Daphne's comments. She said their parents are their friends and don't know half of what their kids know.
And how often have we talked about that stuff, David?
Often.
These, especially with technology now, these kids, look, it's just like the comment says. Some of these kids are far more knowledgeable, far more advanced than their parents ever will be. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because they'll never amount to. And this is the sad thing about that, Daphne. Parents who get jealous of their own children because their children are succeeding, sometimes they'll sabotage them. They'll do things intentionally to hold them back. And we see this all the time. With some of these athletes sitting there on National Signing Day and they don't go to the school that their parent wanted them to go to, and all of a sudden now the parent mad. She get upset and walk away, and he left there sitting there looking like a fool. Or he choose somebody to date that the mother didn't want to date, or anything like that. These are the things that we have to purge ourselves of. Because like I said earlier, we're at a nebulous position. We're at the crossroads from the past, baby boomers, to Gen Zs, millennials, people. The time is now. It is right now. Especially most of the people listen to the show. If you have kids, they're probably adult kids. But for your grandkids, because trust me, most of the people that are grandparents nowadays, they're in their late 30s, early 40s. Comparatively speaking, our grandparents, they're in their 50s, 60s. That's an entire decade of accumulated wisdom that we just don't have. And you're not born with wisdom. You accumulate wisdom by going through things, by living, surviving, and say, you know what? That was a learning experience. I'm glad I'll never have to do that again, because I've been called old. And it's funny to me. I'll be on the basketball court, oh, old man. I'm like, look, you want to live to be this old? No. I'm like, yeah, you want to live to be this old. So you call me an old man, I take that as a compliment, because there's a lot of stuff that you probably don't know about that you might fall victim to that I didn't. And I'm not saying that to belittle you. I understand, you 19 years old. You think you're going to run and jump 45 inches all day, you're going to be dunking on people. I'm like, there's going to come a time when gravity's saying, oh, get your ass down on the ground. Play below the rim. Learn to shoot that jump shot well. Because you ain't got it no more, homie.
There's so many thoughts that cross my mind, and even to the point now, like when they, when people, see me, they're like, my bad, OG. So I'm like, damn, I guess I am OG. So I don't, or they do thing is call everybody Unc. So kids like, what's up, Unc? Come on, when I, talk to a kid that, and they trying to justify their actions. Mr. Glover, come on, Unc. So I just kind of chuckle because I know where they going with it. It's just one of them things that's saying, kind of, but you respect it. It's just the whole dynamics of this. And then when I was was going through my head, when you was talking about, I think Daphne mentioned that, some mothers being jealous of their daughters and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, that's real because, some mothers may already have like 2, 3 kids and they never had the opportunity to go to college. Now you got a daughter that's blossoming, beautiful, nice shape. And, you're looking at her and like, man, if only I could have had those opportunities. And she got a little attitude with it. And she knows she's the shit. And she gives you a little slack because you might not be on your game all the time. And, you kind of, and I think it might be an insecurity that that, like, damn, you're probably about to lose her. Like, she's probably going to go to college. And especially if you've been giving her a hard time, and probably gonna be making moves. And when it's Thanksgiving break, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, when you coming home? Do you need a ride?" "Oh, no, I'm going to my roommate's house for Thanksgiving." Or she get in college, have a boyfriend, she may decide to go there, or whatever the case is. It's really nothing too much you can do at that point. So some women do face that, like, man, my daughter got it going on, and don't let, I guess, a stepdad or somebody else in the household, you think he got eyes for her, because that's a whole nother thing too.
Yeah.
But a whole nother dynamic that happens that some women feel insecure about as well. I want to read Daphne's comment. She said, my own mother did it to me, especially in college. She would purposely do things to me right around midterms and finals. My professor had to sit me down and explain to me that my mom was in competition with me because she see me as her competition academically and for the male gaze. And then Daphne said, "Yep." And Auntie, she said, "My mom had a bachelor's, and my professor said she was angry that at 21 I was her equal educationally."
Man.
Mm.
And see that, and I want to be able to address both these, but I want to address what David said first, especially for females. That can play out so poorly. I mean, think about it. And I asked a question about new pictures. I'm gonna move to a different topic. If your son, and I'm speaking to the women out there, if your son came up to you and asked you, "Mom, what age did you lose your virginity at?" How are you going to answer that question? And then if he asks you, "Did you like the guy?" What are you going to tell him? And then he's going to ask you the major question, and you probably won't see this coming. Did you use a condom? Use any birth control? Are you going to be honest with him? Because me personally, I don't care what your answers are. I'm asking, are you going to be honest with him? Are you going to tell him, especially if you're in college, you were 19, you were at a frat party, some beer was going around or whatever the case was, they were smoking, and this upperclassman rolled up on you, said, "I've been seeing you in psych class. Looking all right there. Why don't you come go upstairs with me for a little bit?" Now, you're kind of hesitant at first because you don't want to be looked at as, the loose girl on campus. He assured you, I ain't like that. What we do, that's between us. It's our business. I ain't gonna put you on blast. He got to get the gab. So you slide up there with him. Now, you don't go all the way. You polish the knob, you slide off. Next thing you know, a week later, some rumors circulating around that you done did some things with a couple fellas. Turns out this dude wasn't on the up and up. He's done this to a lot of people, and you just happen to be one of the many. Do you tell your son about that? Not to tell him not to be despicable, not to want him not to be that kind of man, but just to say, "Hey, look, there's a lot of people in the world doing a lot of dastardly stuff. Be honest." But in order for your child to be honest, you have to be honest. See, we as parents realize, or we need to realize, not us as parents, kind of use that loosely. We have to set the example and be the template we want our kids to be. And I've always said that if I have a child, being 35, if I have a child, because I'm still young enough, if I have a child, I can't get upset if that child did something that I did. Why would I do that? That's foolish. All I can say is, "Hey, you're in a situation. This is what I can say you should do. I'm going to give you this information, but the decision is yours." Because we have to allow these children to take ownership of their lives, so they realize that when you start making certain decisions, You have to deal with the repercussions and the consequences that come with those decisions. Doesn't matter what they are. It could be something such as so benign as what you're gonna wear today, to what you're gonna eat, to who you're gonna hang out with. And sometimes we don't realize that we're hanging out in the wrong crowd until we realize we're hanging in the wrong crowd. This is why I would tell parents, look, you see your son hanging out with the knuckleheads. Pull them aside and say, hey, look, what do you want out of life? And they're gonna look at you like, huh? What do you mean what I want out of life? What do you want out of life? Do you want the good things or do you want to go to jail? Ma, them boys ain't doing nothing. They ain't gonna go to jail. No, not right now. No, they're not old enough. Give it 3 or 4 years. And all of a sudden now you're gonna have a group of kids that start behaving like the Kia boys, ripping off cars, Grand Theft Auto, getting in accidents, potentially killing somebody. And that one time where that child thought better and said, you know what? I'm not liking the way this is looking. I'm gonna go home. You got to be there for him because he's gonna get teased, and understandably so. He's gonna be ridiculed, understandably so. But you have to embolden in him or her to stand up and say, you know what? I got better things to do. I got some places that I'm going that y'all tickets aren't punched for. And if that's gonna make me a sucker, scared, then you know what? I'll be a sucker. I'll be scared because I can't tell you how many times that growing up, I was because I didn't drink. I was because I didn't smoke. And it got to a point where people realized I was wearing an impenetrable suit. I was like Iron Man. That shit didn't bother me. I was like, that's not my stick. That's not what I do. That's not who I am. So we gotta help these kids develop self-worth. Understand that you have a lot of time to do a lot of things. But if you don't get this right here, what I mean by this is if you don't get this education and basic foundation for your life set, you are never going to be able to go anywhere. And some parents, go ahead, Dave.
No, you can finish your thought.
Some parents, because they've never got there, because they've never done anything, they've never been anywhere, they don't see a problem. They think the kid's going to be okay.
And one of the things when we talk about technology and social media, and you see parents, you know, pumping up their first grader and posting their report cards and things of that nature, I often say, hmm, you have you struggling, you have not done anything yourself to post. So you need to introduce your child to social media because you don't have any accomplishments yourself because that ain't hitting on much, to be honest, as an educator. Uh, and Daphne probably could contest to it, and I could go deeper as far as that. But as far as like grades and different things of that nature. But one of the things is, as parents, you got to be someone striving that they see that is never satisfied. Like, damn, I see my dad and my mom. They in school. They reading books. They doing different things. They talking about a brand or building a brand because if they hear or see that type of language and all this stuff, they absorb it. Uh, it becomes kind of instinctive. But if they see you as a parent and you're like, and they look at you like, say for example, they're like, oh, and they're a good kid and they got good grades, and they said, Dad and Mom, a couple of my friends were going here And I was wondering if I can go, and you're like, nah, I ain't got it. Or, nah, not this time, maybe next time. Sooner or later, they're going to start having resentment uh, because they're going to look like, shit, like, what's your point? Like, I do everything I'm supposed to do,
Mhm.
getting good grades, perfect attendance, and I hang with the right people, and I can never be a part of their world because you can't never come through.
Mhm.
And you have done nothing to elevate yourself. And that's why I talk about this timelessly. I said some places, some cities, and I only got reference to where I've lived in my life. Well, three places: Niagara Falls, Buffalo, and Baltimore. Well, no, I lived in Tennessee for about 2, 3 weeks, but that's a whole different story. Uh, and if you don't, if you don't, if you don't step up your, if you don't step up your game, I think I just lost my train of thought. Whatever, it was something like it was about a point I was about to nail home. I had to come back to it. I'm getting old, getting old.
And you know what the funny thing is? I'm gonna follow what you said, Dave. I had the privilege of living in a rural community named Alcott for about almost 4 years. And I've mentioned this before. I didn't know it then. I certainly do now, and I understand it that opportunity was life altering for me. Like I said, I learned so much there. But not only did I learn so much, I saw things that I really hadn't really had a concept of. Went to a school. The school had no swimming pool. I'm like, what the what the fuck type school don't have a swimming pool? Well, we got a big old lake out there. You want to swim, you go out there and you swim to your heart's content. Now, I was like, ah, nah, I'm not swimming in a lake. Now, I'll swim in a pool, but you talking about a lake with currents and oh hell no, can't see the bottom. Oh hell no. I mean, these are the things that kids, if they're never exposed to, they don't know. I'm I'm an advocate of taking kids out of what is their natural environment. So, in other words, if you live in the city, take your kids camping, and they may not want to go. Make them go, because if they find themselves in a situation to where they're in the wilderness somewhere and they need some survival skills, what they learn camping come in handy. Hatchets, learn how to start a fire. This is why, for me personally speaking, this is why the Boy Scouts is such a good thing. But who don't you find in the Boy Scouts? People that look like me. Why? Because we think that's shit stupid. Oh, I don't want to go to the Boy Scout. Why do I want to learn all this? Why do I need to learn all this? Because you never know when you might need it. We don't go boating. We don't jet ski, snowmobiling, all that stuff. That's white people stuff. We don't do that.
So,
And
so again, after interjecting it, that reminds me when, of course, you said you went to Alcott. They didn't have
yeah,
swimming pools. Well, we had swimming pools in Niagara Falls, but us black boys, we didn't want to take a swim. Not all, but most of us, we wanted to have gym. So,
mhm,
like, shit, why can't we play gym? Why we can't play basketball, throw football? So I remember his name, Mr. Walker. He was our gym teacher, and mostly everybody was in the deep end except me and my man, Bilbo Baggins, James Rifford. We were still in the shadow end. I was stuck on backstroke for like 4 years. Didn't move, didn't budge, didn't attempt to do it. And one day, Mr. Walker and James was on pickup rings for probably 4 years. And that's
Oh
like the
God.
first test. That's like the first test. But we didn't swim like that, but we would dominate in when we were in gym class. And he said, "So guys," which probably was when you talk about culturally insensitive stuff. He said, "What if one day you guys are on vacation and y'all near water and you can't swim?" And which legitimate question, but back then we didn't go to vacate. We didn't go on vacations that were like we were by like large masses of water. We went to vacate Alabama, Chicago, Detroit, like city vacations.
Mhm.
Well, Alabama was more country side, so we was like as like fourth or fifth graders, we said, why would we be near water like that if we can't swim? Like, duh, we wouldn't be near water. But I understand the point he made. But then it was sort of like out of nowhere, James started passing tests. Then he caught up with me and he ended up taking the test. He passed the backstroke. And I think after the backstroke, you would it was your opportunity to go into the deep end. So you would
Mhm.
have to swim the length of the pool. And he passed that shit. So I'm like, what the fuck just happened here? Like, and now I'm the only one, and I'm a competitor. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And so I don't know. Yeah, I probably whenever I talk to James, probably have to ask him like, "Yo, what the hell sparked that in you that all of a sudden you was on pickup ring, couldn't put your head under the water, plug your nose and pick up the ring, and all of a sudden your ass, what's his name, the one from Michael Phelps, because in a matter of time." So he ended up making it to the deep end. Probably a week later, I learned I did the backstroke, and then the following week I had the opportunity to swim across to get into the deep end, and I did that. But I think there's a lot of morals to that story. One of the
Mhm.
morals is sometimes we have to push each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to push each other when you see somebody else doing it, and not in a negative way of like, "Oh, I'm better than you." Because James never said anything like, "Oh, that's why I'm in the deep end," or he just silently did it, and then I'm looking like, "What the hell just happened?" And it made me step up my game
Mhm.
so we can learn from each other to do that. So I end up the next week end up getting in my red button and making it to the deep end. But after that, treading water now, that was it. I was like, I don't need to do all that. I'm done. I'm done. I fulfilled my goal as a swimmer. Yeah, that was that.
I tell you what, boy, that treading water for 5 minutes, man. That's probably the longest 5 minutes of my life, man. I was like, that and the floating, man. Those were brutal, man. But I mean, and I'm gonna to what you said. Your circle of influence as a kid generally is certainly it's impactful and it's important from a standpoint of it can motivate you to do the right things or it can drag you down doing the wrong things. I've always been fortunate enough, even though some of the people that I surrounded myself with were walking that fine line between doing things that could get them in trouble and not. So I would always be close enough to see what was going on. And then I had that sixth sense. I was like, okay, you know what? Things about to get thick. I'm out. And I had to endure, some ridicule, some some oh you scaredy cat, you this. Yeah, you're right. Let me book up on out of here. Let me get to the crib because ain't nothing out here. And sometimes kids don't learn those lessons until they get to a point to where the first time they learn that lesson, they end up with a criminal record. And it's back to the pictures I was talking about initially, because we don't have a frame of reference. So you gotta and I talked about my situation with me almost taking advantage of somebody in Canada when she was drunk, violating my own rules. And I'm a grown man. I was 31 at the time. So age is no barrier to falling prey to some shit. I'm gonna tell you, I was scared to motherfucking death when that shit happened. I'm driving across the border. I got thoughts going through my head like this. I'm paranoid. I'm just like, yo, I'm about to go to jail.
You have
I did some
anxiety?
fucked up shit. David, man, I ain't never been so fucked up in my life behind that shit. And this is real talk. This is real talk. And it took for me to go visit my brother, who at the time was serving a 37 and a half year prison sentence. And I had to talk to him, and I'm going to use some creative license here. He had to talk me down off the ledge because I was fucked up. I said, that's not me. But I had to look in the mirror and say, that is you, because that's what you did. And sometimes we get to a crossroad where we have to acknowledge certain things about ourselves. And it's uncomfortable sometimes to say, hey, look, you did it. You got to own it. Now, whether you do that consistently or as a one-time thing, you got to put it out there. You got to say, hey, I did some fucked up shit. I got to own it. I'm not a fucked up person, but I got to own it. And ownership of the things that you have done is the only way that you really free yourself of the demons. This is why I talk about the secrets. I use that so other men out there who might find themselves in a similar position, who might make the other decision, hopefully they get a moment to pause and say, you know what? This could end up real bad. I gotta end up in a real bad situation. This is why I talk about the stuff that I do. The paternity situations I've been in. I put that out there so people younger than me who have never been there understand that, hey, look, let me go find somebody who's been in this situation and let me talk to them. Let me get some wisdom and then make some decisions, because there's nothing worse than making a decision without having a frame of reference or any information about it. We got to get into the abortion thing. You got a girl out here at 19 in Daphne's situation, looking to go pre-med, looking to be a lawyer, and she had a night of fun. At least she thought, and now she's 6 weeks late. She goes to the store, get an EPT, it comes back positive. Who's she supposed to talk to? Her mother don't know she's sexually active. As far as her mother knows, she's a virgin. She comes from a Christian church, a Christian family in the church. Who's she gonna talk to? That she's not going to be thoroughly admonished for. That's not easy. It's a very uncomfortable thing. Do she want to go through with the pregnancy, or does she want to terminate it? I'll tell you, I've been there. I'm not sure if I told that particular story about the Buff State story about a female who I was dating, and I don't want to get too much into that because people that know me will figure out who I'm talking about. I don't want to put nobody out there.
Put them all out there. No.
I can't, not like that. It's far too sensitive because we're dealing with a different ethnicity, and this particular ethnicity, they don't play that shit. Granted, it's been about 30 years, but I'm still not trying to fuck up nobody's apple cart, if you will. So
I'm just messing around, but I often think about people not having a voice of criticism. criticism, and I always would have like my grandmother's voice playing in my head, like, and it would make me think
Mhm.
about not doing certain things, whatever, because I would say to myself, I got fired, too much to lose.
Yeah.
She's invested in me. She's invested. I'm the oldest grandson. So I'm the model. I'm the blueprint. And I used to stand by that. Like, so we used to do, I never did anything in school to get in trouble. If I got detention, it would be because I was late for
Yeah.
class or whatever. And I don't even know how that happened. But it happened. And once in a while, you have a teacher like, okay, I'm going to make an example, give him detention. And I probably had detention a couple times throughout my time. Uh, but she always would hear her voice in my head, and it was just like, okay, if I'm leaning toward this way, I can't do it because I don't want to disappoint um, her, my mother, my aunts, my grandfather, all the adults that were close to me at the time to filled all the voids that my father necessarily didn't do at the time. So that kept me striving, where a lot of people don't, they don't have that. And the difference is in this generation of these kids now, they just don't simply give a damn.
Yeah.
They don't care. Eh, I don't know. I don't know what went wrong. I kind of know what went wrong, uh, but I think they have no fear factor. And one of the things is, I think when we were summoned as counselors to go around and you talk about when you talk about child abuse and you talk about this and that, kids try to use that to their advantage, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then some parents said, oh, and some parents you still have, well, I ain't put my hands on them because I wasn't about to have to deal with no CPS or whatever, so I don't even touch them no more. Or and they might at a time, shit, whoop that ass,
Hmm.
but they say I don't even touch them because even with the Gen Xers, when do research on this, it was like they was kind of like became the first generation of the no hands
Yeah.
parents, and like kind of uh, gave their kids full reign, full free reign, and they do what the hell they want to do. And I know it to be true because I'm like, shit. I walk out and I see little kids. I was like, yeah, it's fucking the street lights is on. Where the hell y'all
Mhm.
going? Why y'all ain't nowhere near your house? We didn't have that luxury. We had to be somewhere around. You had to
Mhm.
be visible, eyeball supervision. If a parent or grandparent stepped on the porch, they had eyes to account for where everybody was at. You might have had my sister might have been down here. Uh, Carlos and Dietrich might have been in the middle. I might have been there, but if they stepped out, they was able to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm good. All my kids or grandkids is right there. Uh, I had that now. A lot of these parents they doing their own freaking thing
Yep.
and just chilling and caught up on TV, social media, and all that. And then these little kids just roaming around. One of my things that I don't like to see. I just don't like to see when it's dark time and I see 2 or 3 girls walking, and I like this shit is not going in well. It's not going in well. Not saying it can't happen to boys, but you know, it's and can't say that because boys get abducted too
Yeah.
and go through stuff. And maybe my mind is kind of closed because I think about my friends and us that shit. It would probably been so many of us we'd have beat the hell out of somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's probably the difference. Like we never was like alone. It was always like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us all together. So if you wanted it, even as an adult, you can get it. And it was just enough of us like that.
And being isolated as a teen, as a preteen, that can be more troublesome than anything because you don't have anyone to go places with. You don't have anybody to do things with. And I just saw somewhere that there was a 14-year-old boy who was who had self deleted because a AI chat GPT relationship had ended, and it was alarming because we were accustomed, to dealing with disappointment, whether you didn't do well on a test or you didn't win at sports, like David was talking about earlier. But we had the intestinal fortitude to push through. These kids are not built that way. They are not. And I don't know how it all came about. All I know, excuse me, all I know is that something needs to change because it's negatively impacting younger men to the point where their rates of self deletion are increasing. That's very, very alarming because it's going to get to a point now where women are going to significantly outnumber the men. And for people who think that may not be a problem, I'll just go tell you, look at what China's going through. So now that you have these young boys that are underperforming, they may not go to college. They may not go to the army. They may not get a a job in the trades. How do you explain to the young girls that may want to get married and have kids? What are they supposed to do? They're not going to do what the passport bros are doing. They're not necessarily going to go overseas and look for men. That's not in the female's nature. So, what do they do? I mean, we always talk about this from a masculine perspective. There aren't enough suitable women, but hell, men don't travel. But what do women do if there aren't enough suitable men? Well, first thing they usually do, hop on the internet until they get catfished. Now, what does Gen X parents know about getting catfished? We met females in clubs. We met females at work. We met females at school. You can't convince me you're a female if you don't have feminine assets. That's kind of hard. You can't convince me you're female when your muscles as big as mine. You can't convince me you're female when you play basketball as well as I do. They don't exist. Oh, you can't do that. Now they rewriting the rules of dating. You got these guys think they talking to full-fledged women, and next thing you know,
So I got to tell this story. I got to tell this story. So I'll be minding my business. A lot of times I just mind my business, like Auntie say, just minding my business, coming out in the hallway. And one of my guys I work with, he was like, "Hey G," he was like, "You might be able to help this kid." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He was like, he got catfish. Then I was like, so they started telling the story. Now mind you, 8th grader. And he was like, "Yeah, I guess he was on, the boy's like, yeah, I was on the internet like talking to this person who I guess he thought was a girl." And the way the story went, like I guess a couple of his boys, they had been engaging in conversation with this I guess at the time young lady. So they were conversating, and then I forgot what had happened because I kind of got the tail end of it. but all I remember is call it just say B was like told me to come in, and we were more so like laughing about it because the young man he didn't kind of really understand like what he was doing because we was like, did you meet this person and all that? And he was like, well, no, I went back and forth. I guess they were conversing together, and then eventually he said that person had posted something, and I guess he said he zoomed in and was looking like, yo, that ain't no girl, that's a boy. And then he said, so as the conversation went on, I guess he was like, oh, okay, I want to confront this person. And I guess eventually he ended up confronting him. And then it really didn't make sense. But I guess the end to summarize it up, that he ended up, this one person he thought was a girl that was talking to probably him and a couple of his other boys was actually a guy. It, so he was like kind of perplexed, like damn. Then B was like, man, you got catfish, dude. You got catfish, because that's the type of nature of the relationship he had with them. He just kind of the one who hit them on the head and give them that reality check, like the street check, like, yo, dude, you just got catfish. I'm more of the counselor, so I try to have a little more subtle approach. But at the end, we kind of like, I'm like, for real, dude? Like, so I said, did you ever talk to the person on the phone? Like, no, I wasn't even like that. We was talking on IG, we connected, whatever. But then when they had posted a picture, I zoomed in and I looked and I was like, man, I think that's a boy. Then when um, I think this was the funny part. He said, then when I finally did some research and all that, and they was like, oh, he found out that person name was Harold. So we just was cracking up there. So we was like, wow, dude, like you got catfish. Like you gotta pay attention to what happens on the internet. Like you can't um you might see images, whatever, but you gotta do a better background check or better level of questioning or whatever, because shit, he thought he was all in. He was thinking like, yeah, I got somebody, but it ended up being a boy or a man.
And that's what I mean. Gen X, that's nothing we ever had to deal with. Catfish, what the hell is that? The worst you had was somebody trying to hook you up on a blind date with somebody that was unattractive. That was our version of being catfish. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, man. She's ugly. Oh no, man. She overweight. Nah, man. Uh-uh. You know, and we understood sometimes, you gotta play wingman to somebody. It's like you owe me one, man. Taking this off your hands so you can
Hey, yeah, those days, man.
So those are the things that we dealt with. But these kids don't do that. They don't have a group of boys, group of young men, group of men that they go places and do things with. And I know you don't. I know your trepidations with going to Canada, but that was what we did. We had a crew. Matter of fact, I'm gonna shut my crew out. My Buff State crew, Carnell, Matt. And matter of fact, Matt was from New York. I think Matt was from the Bronx. We started going up to Roxy's in Hamilton. Shout out to the Roxy crew. And he ended up getting with a female there, having kids, leaving Buff State and going to live in Canada. This is, like I said, this is some years ago. But that was the kind of crew we had. We go hang out, drive up there, come back for class. It was Sundays, I think it was. Sundays we used to drive up there and come back. Carload of people, man. It didn't matter. And they would get popped, and I didn't drive, so I was a designated driver. We come back, and it was like, yo, man, we going back up there? Yeah, man. That's our spot, man. That's where we go. That's what we do. I mean, and we've been going, and for people who are unfamiliar with the Niagara Falls area, literally, there's no place in Niagara Falls, New York, that you are more than a 10-minute drive from the Canadian border. From my house, from where I sit right now, I can walk and be in Canada in 15 minutes. I can hear the falls from my backyard. That's how close. Clifton Hill, Plantations, Rumors, all those clubs we used to hit, man. And we had about 4 or 5 people. We go over there every time, man. And the people that drunk got toe up. They did. Drinking age in Canada, for those, excuse me, who are unaware, it's 19. But mind you, we understood that you can't go over there acting like a fool. You can't go over there unhinged. And we knew, we can't let such and such know, such and such want to go, and you know how they get when they get drunk. So we ain't telling them. He gonna ask where we were. We stepped out. Where'd y'all go? We stepped, oh, y'all went to Canada. Yeah, we went to Canada. Man, y'all never take me. And you gotta tell them. You gotta tell them why. I got the hiccups now. Man, because you always acting up. You always starting fights. You always doing dumb shit, man. We not taking you anywhere with us when you do that. We told you. If you don't straighten up, you can't roll with us. That doesn't exist nowadays. These kids don't have that in them for whatever reason. They don't have the wherewithal to self-govern. Now, whether that started out as an early age or not telling them no, just like David said earlier, the hands-free, the hands-off generation didn't exist. You gonna mind what you told. You're gonna do it, and you're gonna like it, period. So when we got to be of age, we knew what the rules of engagement were. So even when we wanted to do something crazy, it was like, nah, like David said, he always got his grandma in the back of his head. Don't do that. That's going to lead to something that you don't want any parts of. And that's how we grew up. These kids don't have that nowadays. So for them, it's a new frontier. It's essentially the wild, wild west for them in this digital age, because there really aren't any codified rules. So you want to do revenge porn, you can do that. You want to ruin somebody's reputation as a young female, you can do that. I mean, there is so much that we as adults never had to contend with. We couldn't ruin anybody's reputation by taking a new picture and sending that to 100 people. We couldn't do that. The only way you could try to ruin somebody's reputation, male or female, is by talking bad about them. And eventually word will get back around and be like, yo, look, somebody older come to you, say, hey, look, you got to cut that out. That ain't cool.
So many thoughts. So many thoughts going to my head. So many points I want to attack. And I like the thing that Daphne said. She said the gentle parenting. LOL, I call it quietly quitting. Like where these parents, they kind of hands off and kind of remove themselves. But one of the things, another funny story that I thought about when we think about the different generations. So one day, just maybe last week or something, I had one of my students, 7th grader. He's kind of one of the popular boys, roughneck type of dude that you like got to work with him. Like he's charismatic uh, that he can have skills. He just needs somebody to shape him. Like, yo, if you direct your energy this way, you could be a good leader. And need somebody in his ear. I often try to get with him and stay on him, but he came in my office. He was like, Mr. Glover, he's like, you got he had a bunch of change in his pocket. He said, you got some like dollars for this change? So like, yeah, I just say anything to the kids. I'm like, man, what the hell you think? Like, what you think? What I look like? And then, but I happen because I normally don't have money on, but I happen to have a few dollars. And then I was like, well, why? And then he was like, cause man, no. He asked me did I have any snacks. I was like, no, I don't got no snacks. And I used to bring snacks. I used to go out get like the boxes and bags of Doritos, Gatorade, candy and stuff for the kids if they come down and if they were hungry. But I was like, shit, that's another bill. So eventually I realized that they would always try to get out of class to come down, or it's one of those things like if you tell a kid like, listen, you ain't got to go running your mouth. But that's another thing that we knew that sometimes. See, I don't want to get thrown off track from that point. So let me just end that point. Stop that point. So, anyways, back to my man. So I was like, I don't have no snacks. I was like, he was like, I said, well, don't they got snacks in the cafeteria? He's like, yeah, but I don't want to go up there with all this change in my pocket because then people gonna look at me like I'm broke. And then so it took me back, and I thought about like shit. We never had no problem. Shit, we had change, whatever. We ain't care to go to no store, count that shit out. And I said, damn, it's a new time. He not about to go up there and have 10 dimes, a few nickels, and all that, and put that shit out on the register because people gonna look at him and like, damn, did you go through your mother purse? Did you go through a piggy bank, a bank or something? And then I said, so of course I thought about the song. I said, so brokey. So I started call it a brokey, whatever. And uh you're like, you real funny, whatever. But yeah, I had a couple dollars, so I ended up exchanging it, whatever, because I wanted them to save face. I was like, I understand now it's like times have changed where we could have a pocket full of change and no one would have said anything, but that's not this time. So I gave him the few dollars I had, and then he gave me the change. I said, now I got to walk around like I'm a damn slot machine with change rattling in my pocket. I said, but I do that. But it just made me reflect. But damn, it's a different time. If I had shit, 20 nickels or whatever and buy. We got money. We got
Yeah.
money. They only see the green. That's all. They don't want to go nowhere with no change because that means you had to kind of scrum up that damn money. Like, okay, I got to get this. You got to dump something. Times have changed. It didn't matter. Like, we used to go and we're like, damn, we needed money. And your mother might say, well, go look at, I think I got some change in this purse. Or you better go to that, I got that bank in there. And you'll be dumping out shit from a piggy bank, whatever. And long as you got it, you was all right. No, these kids
Yep.
got that green. They don't do nothing with quarters and shit, nickels and 50 cent. No, it's about that green. So that was that.
Yeah, and segueing into the future, the job market for us is completely different than what is going to be for these kids coming up. We talked about OnlyFans last week, I believe it was it last week?
A couple of weeks ago, I think.
It's gonna be real out here. Budget cuts coming down, AI taking over. AI is supposed to be impacting almost every profession that there is, from house building to medicine to teaching in some regard. So, how are these kids going to earn a living? Especially the ones that don't go to college. You think poverty is bad now? Give it another 10 years. Some of these kids will probably be going to go back home trying to live with their parents, and their parents are going to say, we can't afford you. We are the fixed income. We don't have the extra money. You're not working. You're not even hustling no side gigs. It it is going to be very, very interesting with the Z's and the alphas, how they utilize technology to either create jobs for themselves or find employment or the freelancers. And I will say this, and this is what Neil is exposing. Neil is exposing that you can be a brand unto yourself, and it allows for the creativity that people have to be able to market themselves. The only problem is these kids have never really been able to think like that. They've been regimented to just do this, go here, sit here, listen to this, take this test to see if you are proficient at this. Do these kids even engage in creative writing? I mean, if these kids had to sit down and create a character, a superhero, uh, uh, a villain, could they do it? I don't know. I don't know. But the
Because
thing about it is, yeah, I was gonna say we could without thinking about it. We'd be like this. Oh, he's gonna do this. She's gonna do this. They gonna have this. Shit, we got about 6 or 7 new superheroes. We consistently hear about black folks talk about there are no black superheroes. Create one.
well, I think the thing is a lot of these kids they're using AI right now. Like when they have to do something, and it's a couple times that it's been brought to me that some kids got in trouble because they were using AI, and I was like thinking like, if y'all don't fucking think it, yeah, I gave them devices, you gave them devices in their possession, and you tell them to work independently. What you think they about to do?
Yeah.
When they're working, go on the computer, and now that they can go into some AI site, whatever, shit, put in the question, and answer, it, and you write it down, and then the teacher's like, "Oh, you use this." What do you really think's gonna happen? Like this is what I talk about, like with education, ain't what it used to be.
Yeah.
Ain't what it used to be. Uh, so got a battle on his hand. Not only with that, with the things with Trump and all that. I guess sometimes it'd be so much going on with people because again, when Joe Sleepy Biden was in office and Kamala Harris, I didn't hear anything. It
Nope.
wasn't nothing pumping, no nothing, no news. Nobody said anything. But as soon as Trump come on the thing, back to the tweets, Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff. Like, and some of y'all live for that. Y'all wanted him back, but y'all didn't want to vote for him because it gave y'all some engagement in your life. Like I like this dude got them motherfuckers in a stranglehold that they can't stand. It'd be some of the same people talking about it every day
Yep.
about this man, and I'm like, just focus on what you got to do. But when they come in, they talk about, oh, he's going to eliminate special ed and all of this stuff. Uh, you know, it, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and it's a lot of finances that be put into programs and stuff. So all I say, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it pans out. But I guess the one thing when they came up with the No Child Left Behind thing, I never, I don't think I ever was a proponent of that because I always felt like, shit, people always gonna be left behind. Either you step your game up or you be left behind. This shit is a Cinderella story. It's a story that's got a bad ending. Because once you leave there, if you ain't on your game, you left behind. That's life.
Yep.
That's life. So I always said none of this shit is in alliance with each other. You can't be in high school and a senior and you have 30 assignments to get a grade, but then when you step off into college, you got 5 things that you're graded on. You got a midterm, you might have a paper, you might have a couple tests, that's that. You can't have 30 assignments as a senior in your language class, and then you go off to college and have to take English 101, but you had 30 opportunities for a grade. You got to make it work. So a lot of times we have articulations with high schools and middle schools. When y'all gonna have that freshman articulation with some of the universities to say, this is what these kids need to know? Because when they come in here, they're going to have 5 things that they get graded on. Some states may be doing it, but I don't think they're doing it. And because you know what? It's a money business. Shit, if in college you flunk out, whatever, you still got to pay that shit back.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Keep them on coming. Keep them on coming. Let's go flung out, and they got these loans. Keep them on coming. So that's why sometimes people are like, got to work toward a trade or something, because that's just a money making business.
And I just want to push back on the TikTok cutting it. Cutting as a content creator on TikTok, isn't it? If used correctly, and I stress correctly, any platform, including TikTok, can be a proving ground. What I mean by that is this. A lot of people have concepts. They want to test them, but they don't want to pay to test them. So what do? You go to a platform such as TikTok, and you put out an abbreviated version of whatever it is you want to test. This is why a lot of people gather the thousands of people they do as followers, because they're field testing things. They'll put this out there. They'll say, how do people respond to this? How do people respond to that? What were the comments on this? What were the comments on that? But that kind of information is only available to a select few people. Why? Because they understand how the algorithms work. They understand how to get the most out of what they're creating and what drives a market. Case in point, Joe Rogan podcast doing exceptionally well. And I said this to my brother earlier. If you're in public speaking, or you know somebody that's in public speaking, tell them to start podcasting. Why? It's going to help you learn to speak clearly. Your enunciation is going to be great, and you will not get stage fright. So you can speak to a crowd that's 15. You can speak to a crowd that's 1,500. You will be comfortable. It's a way to get over those jitters. So if your job in the future, Nameless, what's going on, man? If your job in the future is going to have you speaking to people, please develop a podcast. And I will tell you something else. And David's going to kick me for this. Write a book. I know, David.
I ain't gonna say nothing you already know. I ain't about to talk you to death.
Write a book. I'm gonna issue this challenge to all the the black male YouTubers who consider themselves to be a part of the black manosphere. Write a book. I don't care what it's about. I think every black male who associates with the black manosphere, who does red pill content or whatever it is, write a book. And then we need to start buying each other's book. Now, last week I talked about it. That's what we talked about last week. $1.4 trillion. We could build whatever we want to with that. We could do whatever we want to with that. We don't have to worry about Trump cutting businesses. We don't have to worry about money coming back to us because we become our own money making machine. We can set up banks. We can set up hospitals. We can set up educational facilities. We can finance sending kids to school with loans that are subprime. And I mean subprime to the point where the banks will be mad. They want to give out loans. They want to give out $50,000 loans with 18% interest. No, we're going to give you $50,000 loan with a 2% interest rate. Why? Because any interest that's coming back is coming back to the community. So now we don't need you to go apply at those particular institutions and wait in line to get selected. Fuck DEI. We got black employment here, if that's what you want to do. So these kids that's running around with no jobs, these kids that's running around with no skills, we can say, hey, look, come here. Come here. You don't have a choice. Bring your ass here. We're going to put you to work. You're going to get a skill. You're going to get an education. So we're not going to have you running around looking dumb, being ignorant, and doing dumb shit.
Well, wouldn't that be nice if we could do that? Wouldn't it be nice that you could announce on social media, hey, I made monetization on this platform. I just need y'all to share, comment. I got a subscription thing. It's 99 cents a month, $1 a month.
That's it.
How many? Just imagine if you had you have friends, you got like 5,000 friends. Just imagine if 500 of them said, "Oh, I'm gonna donate that $1 a month," and you got 500 extra dollars coming in. Whatever the case is, we can't even do that shit, man. So a lot of times I'll be like, this shit is, it's crazy. Some of us got like 500 people in our family, like close that we know, that could simply do it. They won't do it. They won't lift the damn thing. Like, and again, it becomes that self-hatred. If I do that, and they already got a path to doing something different, that means they're gonna do that, and I don't want to contribute to that. But it's your first cousin, it's your brother, it's your sister, it's your brother-in-law, it's your sister. All types of things that, like, instead of saying, "Yeah, if they get there, shit, hopefully they gonna put somebody on, and we gonna continue to build a tree." One of me and my buddies always talk about how the NFL tree is so great. How you have a head coach, and he bring his assistant coaches in, and they work under him, and then after a while, they didn't got enough toolage that they go on and they start building that tree. That's how we supposed to do it. Build trees and branch off and keep building and keep growing. That's why you see the Andy Reeds and like certain coaches that's doing well because they came from a winning product or whatever. Don't do that shit. We still, I always say, I don't give a damn if I was the one who started the tree, but then I put somebody on and they blew up bigger than me. So be it. I'm not watching their pockets, and it's a great thing, and I was a part of that. So that brings me joy. That brings joy to my heart.
And another thing, there's a lot of consternation and dissension with the way that I think it's Marvel and X-Men, how that's all being done. They don't like the path that is going. Is taking a little rainbow tint to it, shall we say? People, create your own. They did. Why can't you? And I tell you what, create your own and go against each other. And this is the funny thing. We look at black comedians. We take Martin Lawrence. We take Kevin. I'm sorry. We take David. David has created a character. He doesn't get a whole lot of mention anymore, but he created a character. That character's named Melvin. Martin Lawrence created Brubman. Jamie Foxx created Handyman. I think what was his name? It wasn't Handyman. What was the physically I don't want to make this out. What's his name? He had the handicap
From Jamie Foxx.
On The Living Color.
There's so many different
That's what I
characters.
mean. Create character development is an art form unto itself. If you can create a character from scratch and bring that character through the hero's journey to the point where that character becomes a black version of Batman, and it doesn't have to necessarily mimic Batman. It can have whatever superpowers you want. You want a character that let's see. You want a character that's smart. You want a character that that doesn't have a lot of money. Kind of walks the streets like what the hell was it? What was the movie with Will Smith and
The Pursuit of Happiness.
no, he played the superhero, or that the dude with the super strength rather. I can't remember the name of the movie. God damn it. It's eluded me. But anyway, character development. Create a character that mimics you. Create a character with certain things that you wish you had. Because right now, with AI, a phone, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, I was gonna say Snapchat. Snapchat's another one. Instagram. Man, listen. You can create an entity like the Fantastic Four. And if you want them to be deviants, fine. Make them be deviants. Find somebody that wants to challenge your deviancy with superheroes that are actually good. Write your own movie script. Had them fight. Had them go at it. Had them battle for land. Had them battle for ideals. Bill Cosby did it with Fat Albert. All these things, they've been contrived. There is no one stopping you from doing these things if you want to do them. You want to have a kid in high school, junior high school, who's kind of like Urkel, but he's strong as hell. He's always getting challenged. He's always there to save the day. The Greatest American Hero was kind of predicated on that. Nobody looked at that guy and said, "Oh, he's a superhero." He wasn't built like one. Thin, wiry, didn't have superhero looks. There's a TV show, Quantum Leap. All this stuff is out there. You can create a character as time traveler. I mean, there's so many things that kids nowadays could do that we didn't have the opportunity. I know, as silly as this is gonna sound, I wonder what it'd be like to be a transformer. If I could just transform my ass into something to just fly the fuck away. That'd be the coolest shit. But I realize, no, I got bills to pay. I transform my ass into a worker and get to work and make some money. But hey, you want a deregulated work shift? You got it. Like David said, 500 people, $1 a month. That's $500, easy money. Build you a studio. Matter of fact, get together with a couple of your friends. Y'all working, y'all hustle on the side, y'all create something. People talk about LeBron James and don't look at what LeBron James is actually doing. Same thing with the man that created Fubu. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. This stuff is there. Clothing line. People, man. Hats, glasses. I mean, people will tell you that the clothing market is saturated, and there's really nowhere to go. There's no money in it. And I will always ask this: are you trying to corner the market, or are you just trying to be a part of the market? Because if you're trying to corner the market, yeah, it probably isn't. But if you're just trying to be a part of the market, yeah. What are the fidget spinners? You can create something like that. Yeah, they were only around for a short while, but they made a boatload of money. Nothing complex. You get bored in school, but you find out that you like to do things, and somebody asks you, "Hey, how you do that?" Guess what that is? That's called a marketing opportunity. It's called a business opportunity. So next time you're doing something, and somebody asks you how you did it, ask them how much they're willing to pay you to teach them. Because this is what your future looks like. This is what the future for these kids looks like. Because some of these jobs that are going overseas, they're never coming back. And if they do, they're going to come back in a different way. And if they don't have the skill set to work in that particular industry, they're done. You can have a superhero that plays a lawyer. You can have a superhero that plays a doctor.
Yeah. I just sit here, like it's so many different opportunities, and like you said, are you trying to corner the market, or you just want to have a piece of the pie? You get a piece of the pie. That could be that could just be stash money. You may still be working a regular job, but you feel like I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right. I'm doing all right in this area, but I still got this, and I'm not even touching that money.
Mm-hmm.
That's just growing. We gotta we gotta do better. We gotta come up with solutions, because yeah, really people really think it's a game, that and you see as stuff is about to go down, and like, Section 8 and different
Oh
things
yeah.
and different federal jobs and all that. Sometimes you're on the clock, whatever, and some of y'all still think you want to plan trips and do this stuff. Sometimes you might just have to say, "Hey, let me fall back, see how this shit gonna pan out," uh, because a lot of stuff is I don't mean to stop living, but you just gotta be cautious. Like some people, you might be in a position you're like, shit, it ain't gonna impact me. I'm still gonna do what I gotta do. But then there's other people that you not in that position, that you gotta kind of think about moves that you gonna make, whatever, because stuff is going down the pipe, and you don't want to get caught out there and be someone like, yeah, I got blindsided. What's going on, Big Shank, whatever? Next time I come up there, when the next time you're having that little brunch deal at Shorty's, whatever, I'm gonna have to pull up. You seem like y'all doing some things. I hear you. I see you and I hear you, man. Much love. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Gotta take your brand and just roll with it. And don't give a damn with nobody. Gotta have blockers on the side and kind of like the middle finger. F y'all, y'all.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm still doing it. Still doing it. So keep pushing, man. And keep promoting and keep advertising and keep doing it. As long as your name keep ringing up, hashtag that, and then people you just keep popping up.
yeah. I think a lot of people sell themselves short. You know, they don't have the immediate success somebody else is having, and so they're always comparing themselves to somebody else. I would tell you that's the first wrong thing that people do. You are supposed to compare yourself to yourself. You're supposed to say, compared to where I was yesterday, am I ahead? Or am I still the same? Am I falling behind? And as long as you are on a pace, so that pace may mean that you are quote unquote where you were yesterday. And as long as you track what your progression is, you're doing all right. Things always fall into place as long as your plan is solid. This is why when people get into business, the first thing somebody asks them, well, what's your business plan? Because that's gonna tell everybody what it is. What's your can't remember the term. What's your mission statement? What you're looking to do? You're looking to make $1 million. All right, $1 million is relative. What are you looking? What are you making? What are you looking to do to make $1 million? Do you want to make $1 million just gross, or you want $1 million net? And some people that don't know anything will say, okay, well, what's the difference? Well, it's a huge difference. The $1 million gross is what your business brings in. Your $1 million net means that's all profit. Tutoring. Some people will say, "Oh man, I don't want to do that." Why not? If you went to school and you got an English degree, but you can't get a job teaching English, start doing remote teaching. You got people coming into this country whose second language is English, and they need some help. Charge them $100 for an hour. You don't think you're gonna get that money? You might have taken some advanced math in college. You got people in college that are coming through. They're struggling with calculus. They're struggling with trigonometry. You don't think they're going $20 for a session? That's extra money. Like I said, are you trying to corner the market? You're trying to get a piece of the pie, like David said, a piece of the market. A tenth of a percent of $1 billion industry, a millionth of a percent. That's still money. It's good money. And that's easy money because you ain't got to bust your ass to get it. You can turn on your phone, you can set up the appointments whatever you want to. And bingo. You got a game in mind, create a game that's never been created. I got about 3 or 4 I'm sitting on. Trust me, when I speak of these things, there's a particular reason why I say them. Let's just say Uncle Ron got some shit waiting to snap. And when it do, I'm gonna be like, look, hi there. I told you what I was gonna do. You can see Uncle Ron and neon lights. I'm a dreamer, but I'm also a doer.
Well, it all first come with a dream. I mean, I always knew I got always had like a creative mindset. I could create a story
Mhm,
just by going out to dinner, sitting there, looking at people interactions, and I could come up with a whole scenario.
mhm.
And people are like, how the hell did you just come up with that based on what you just saw? So I don't know, just the way they looked, where they was dressed, or whatever. This is their first date. or this is their first time together, or they together, but one of them don't want to be here. You can see a lot of stuff by just paying attention and not saying anything. A lot of times people don't observe well, or they observing, but they doing too much talking that they not focus on what they're looking at. And again, I always keep saying it. I keep saying it. I said, if you think about the alphabet, there's a couple letters that's the most important letters in the alphabet. I mean, people want to say, oh, God, God. And I always say after that, it's KYP. Know your personnel. You can't do anything without knowing who you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in business, you got to know the other businesses that you're working with. You're a teacher. You don't know your students. Uh, Anything you do is about relationship building. And if you don't know your clientele or who you're dealing with, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So I always say GODKYP. Those letters right there are the most, and I'm gonna post that too. The six most important letters in the alphabet, and I'm gonna post that and see what people say.
That's a
Is
question. I'm just putting it out there. That's a question. So if you're paying attention, you bet you're paying attention. What's the six most important letters in the alphabet?
Yeah,
I'm just letting you know.
and I wholeheartedly believe that. You can say believe in have faith in God, and then KYP. Know your personnel. Know who you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. You can't whether a romantic relationship, relationship, business relationship. You got to know what's right there in front of you. You don't take the time to do that, ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. So as we wind down this show, there's so much more to cover about it. You just got to think from generations, Gen Xers, millenniums, and all that stuff. A lot of things have changed, and they're going to keep changing based on what's going on in the world. But I think some of the things were foundational that that we grew up as Xers. We grew up a certain way, and we learned a certain way. But then, because the way that we were raised, like even when you think about parenting style, it's like, well, and we might have had some parents that was rigorous and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, and like, I don't want to do that to my kids. I want them to grow. I want them to be free. They don't have to do all that. Yeah, I think you can't let everything go in its entirety. You got to have a medium. Like, you can't do drastic things. You got to say, well, I still want to implement some of the things that I was brought up on, but I might want to give them a little more latitude, a little more rope. But I'm still going to still implement this and that because, like I said, street lights and all that stuff. We knew. Oh, you better be somewhere around. To now, like shit, you 9 or 10, and you still roaming around in the dark time. Not a good look. Not a good look because the one thing about us, we didn't have people tracking us on social media and be able to understand your location. If it was somebody that was trying to get us, they someone who probably lived in the neighborhood and kind of watched that shit and seen it. It wasn't people coming from different parts of the city or from the country to plop themselves right here and say, "Yeah, I'm about to focus on that." It probably was people that are you already knew, and they was kind of watching the situation. But now you can see different things on social media, location and all that stuff. So we, this conversations that probably most of y'all don't want to have, but I can tell you this: we'll bring it up, and then what? 2 years down the road, they'll be like, "Oh, Gen X." It'll be a whole household thing talking about this same thing. Yeah, we talked about that a couple of years ago.
Let me just touch on the character development. 2 minutes, 120 seconds is all an individual needs to catch somebody's attention. And the reason why I say 2 minutes is because in 2 minutes, you can tell enough of a story to have people wanting to know more, have people wanting to see more. And guess what? If you write it, you get your friend to illustrate it, you get voices, you created a show. No commercials. You can run it on YouTube. You can run it on any of these various platforms. And you can start to draw in crowds. And if it's something that somebody likes, you say, hey, subscribe. Axel Art. He does some amazing, wonderful stuff. Started out on Facebook. Now he's getting $400 or $500 a portrait.
Mm.
You have to be willing to take that step. And don't let fear dissuade you from doing that. Because where one ideal doesn't succeed, there are dozens of others. Don't stop. Get a vision, follow the vision, develop it. I'm telling you, get your crew together. You young people that are in the 10th, 11th grade doing drama class or whatever, get your people together, man. Get your crew together and say, hey, look, what do we want in 10 years? Collectively. We want some money, we want some land, we want this. And then set out goals, benchmarks. Y'all working together for each other, for a common goal. And I tell you, nothing stops a team. Just look at what the Eagles did. Very few people gave them a shot. Homeboys went out there and they got it done. Somebody else is going to get it done in the NHL. Somebody's going to get it done in the NBA. Get you a squad. Get you a squad, and as long as you're on the same mission, traveling on the same road, success waits you at the end. It reminds me of two commercials. One, the 1985 Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl shuffle. And they put that commercial out before the season started. They'll let you know what they was about. And they went on and did their thing. Then another one, Dallas Cowboys. It was at the time the head coach, Jimmy Johnson. They were in a Cadillac with the Longhorns on the front, driving down the street. Emmett's walking. They stopped and said, where you going? He said, Pasadena. They said, get in. That's it. Even though TV, as we knew it growing up, is changing, there's always room for innovation. There's always room for people to have a concept that hits hard and moves on. You don't have to have necessarily an idea that's going to get you $1 million. You might have several ideas that get you $1 million, and keep working them. Keep working them. It's like body shots in boxing. They will appreciate that. Eventually, they can take their toll. Keep doing them body shots.
Go to the body, get killed to the head eventually, but you got to start off with the body. You got to start off breaking things down, and that's the same thing with concepts. You got to start breaking things, and it depends on your pace. Like
Yeah.
sometimes we ready to rush things, and it's probably a slow grind that you keep chopping and you keep chopping and you keep chopping. But meanwhile, while you got that in the back burner doing that, just make sure you got something else going on that you're doing, and you're still trying to dedicate to both. So a lot of times we um, have too many things going on, trying to do so many things that the great Russell Simmons said sometimes we need to be single-minded focused, and just focus on one particular thing and accomplish that. But sometimes that don't work. You collaborate with folks on doing this, then you have some other independent projects, whatever. So I guess it just depends on what pace, but we got to understand like there's a lot of changes that happen with the Xers and what was the next one? Is it the Millenniums or after the Xers?
Gen Z's and
Gen
Alpha, yeah.
Zs? Yeah. So it's a lot of different things that transpired that, again, our experiences became their reality. And Auntie spoke about the anxiety and the different things like that that they go through. And then one of the other things is they rely on us a whole lot, even as grown adults, that they're like, oh, can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? And you like, listen, I got bills. I got other things going on, but they rely on us heavily. And then it all makes me think that when we say, man, at the end of the day, us, we need to just come together in conjunction and try to find the biggest buildings, whatever, to try to should be in there. Everybody work together. But we struggle with that concept too because some women have a concept of ain't no other grown woman gonna be in my kitchen, and I guess that might be equivalent to you having people over there, and you're a dad and somebody's in your reclining chair.
Oh, oh,
You come there and
oh.
that's what you do. You got the spot for your beer. You go in, put your stuff down, you grab your beer, and you just want to sip on the beer and then turn on ESPN. Somebody sitting there. Your wife's sister who moved there with y'all because she had nowhere to stay. Now she in your chair. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't tell her? You didn't tell her my routine. Yeah. So it's a lot. And again, sometimes we try to bring an element of laughter into it, but if you think about it, you're like, shit, nothing to laugh about. It's a lot going on. What we gonna do? What you gonna do to step up your game to make sure that we on the right path? Because nobody wants to see like, okay, this the end. We still trying to find too many more beginnings.
Mhm.
Any closing things you want to say? But and I often say, we ain't done with this conversation. If you're real, conversations keep bringing coming back up, just like when y'all gossip. Shit never ending, never
I had
ending.
wrote a couple, I had wrote a couple things, and I didn't know how I wanted to start this stuff because Auntie Boy, she be blazing the trail. So I'm gonna say this in closing. They say secrets keep you sick. While that may be true, there's a difference between private affairs and secrets. In this time of social media, it's becoming increasingly difficult for many people to distinguish between what needs to be told to whom and why. There are definite things that aren't anyone's business, and there are certain things that need to be shared, but only with those who need to know. When people lack decorum or haven't been taught discernment, you'll find among them things that were better off not being uttered to anyone until they were in the confession or on the deathbed. When a person or people don't value certain things, those things become casualties. Reputation, lives, and families can be ruined, character destroyed. Putting any of this back together so a person can function in a healthy way is a gargantuan undertaking. This is why it's imperative that when prudent adults in those tasked with the stewardship of the youth understands just what that means.
That was a lot. And we gonna during this time we gonna have a lot of different talks or uh conversations between folks, whatever, because we got to figure this out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pressing issue, and even for our young people, it's going to be a grave concern because eventually they want to be in a position that they feel security that they could be able to take care of themselves because mom and dad ain't going to be around forever,
Nope.
and like things are happening, and you see like we're losing people. And again, my point of reference is I lived in three cities, but again, I found out today one of our great fallen soldiers that was an inspiration to all of us as younger is shout out to Ken Walker. May he rest in peace. He was a fixture.
Ken?
Yeah, he was a fixture. Skating, Ken, body guy at the doors at the clubs and all this stuff. Uh, Seeing that, I was like, wow, Ken. So it keeps coming and it keeps going, and you like, and we on this proverbial timeline that we sometimes we don't think about that life is short and it's important. And I think it hit me at home the other last week when we had a board of education minutes about who resigning, who um, going on leave, um, who's retiring, and one of my fellow coworkers that I had worked with at my last school, that Golden Ring, Mr. Cook, he was our teacher. He used to come down, we used to kick it, or if I went upstairs to get a kid from his class, we would always chop it up. He ended up passing like a couple weeks ago. Then when I seen it on the minutes board that his name came across, I said, "Wow, wow." I don't know. He felt like 58, 59, going through medical issues and stuff, but still, that shit hurt. It hurt because you start thinking about your mortality and you say,
Yeah.
"Man, I'm 54. Like any given day, I can go to sleep and may not wake up, and it could be people world that's crushed because of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, we just seeing him on social media.
Yep.
We just see him talking about it. So I know we all got shit we got to work on. We all everybody kind of fucked up in the head in some space, in some place that somehow we have to try to make it right with everybody and say, yeah, I just got to move forward. You ain't got to be the greatest family members, you ain't got to be the greatest friends, but you got to say, hey man, shit didn't kill us. I'm I went on and do bigger things. I want I just want to make peace and just move forward. 'Cause- And that's probably a big challenge for me because I'm stubborn as shit. And I kind of I kind of could do my own thing. I always mention Machiavellian, and I'm the type of person. If I had enough money, I probably would move to another country. To be honest, and just be somewhere just chilling in the cut, whatever, and be like, "Yo, I'm all right," because it just be too much drama in other areas. Like I don't want to even deal with it. but I'm that type that would do that. They're like, oh, what? Oh, shit. But then again, I probably would want to come back because I know that I have close family ties. So we just have a lot to worry about. We focus on the Gen X because shit, I'm a Gen Xer. Herb's a Gen Xer. It, we've been a product from our parents, but then
Yeah.
things that went on in our surrounding atmosphere filtered down to our children, um, and here we go. And this is where we at. Can't blame nobody. The only thing we could do is look at it and say, "Damn, how do we get better? What do we need to do?" I don't know. If we had answers. That's my closing comment.
Yeah. We can work on the answers. The questions are always going to be forthcoming, and the answers are somewhere out there. We just got to work to get to them.
Anything else, and we can
Nope,
get out
that
of
is it.
here. And, well, thanks for everybody who joined in. Thanks for people who came in the chat. And we just gotta keep trying to build strong relationships, keep growing, and kind of do away with the animosity. Again, for Gen Xers, we don't have that. We you can't have a pit of rage in your heart when you're in your 40s and 50s. That's like to me a comparison to having a lung clogged up or a couple lungs clogged up when you have rage inside you and you live with that for every day, all day. You mad at this person. You angry at this person. You mad at the world. You just clogging up shit in your system. And if you don't get a chance to release that shit, they be like, damn. And another thing, I don't think I knew it personally, but I just think about the Nia Crockett situation and the senior night and her losing her life. That's wow, man. And now somebody, a parent from Niagara Falls High School, so like that's just
That's what that was
it's,
about. I caught something of it, but I didn't catch any names or things of that nature.
it's just wow. And there's people I probably haven't spoke to, and I said I'm not dealing with them on that level, and it's probably because like listen, it was turmoil. When I think about it, I don't really want to wish nobody's death and that be the final thing, their
Yeah.
final call. But again, like when you read the social media post about her, seemed like she was a sweet angel. And sometimes I think life they don't get it right.
Yeah.
Some people don't deserve. They don't get it. And I always say this: nobody better ever say that if I cross the street tomorrow to go to my car and I got hit by a car and I end up dying, say, well, somebody called him home. He in a better place. And I say that shit because I wasn't ready to go. I wasn't ready to go. I might wake up, my eyes might open for that shit. Like, really? I wasn't ready to go. So that shit don't go for everything. And that's another thing. Got to realize what message goes to this and goes to that. It ain't no absolute message to say, hmm, remember, I always talk about counseling 101 with people. If somebody lost a parent or lost somebody, and they say, sorry for your loss. That person may say, shit, I'm happy. I'm at
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
I'm at peace. Don't say I'm sorry for my loss. I'm enjoying it. Like shit, I'm free. Gotta go. Every message don't stand for every situation. So stop copycatting shit and saying that, and you don't know the situation. It's not a standard thing to say sorry for your loss. Better come up with some. You better personalize it if you know that person and come up with some creative, because that's what y'all like to do. say the same thing, post the same thing, and you don't even know how that person really feels. They may be in joy. Like, thank God I went through so much from this person. Their dad died, but the dad is touching that person, molesting the daughter, or doing whatever. And she like, finally I'm at peace.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all don't know that. But y'all say, oh, sorry for your loss. Well, your dad was such a good guy. He was such and such. It start running your mouth just because you want something to say. And they looking like, get the fuck out my face.
Yeah.
You said what you said. I'm at peace. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be mindful of that shit. I'm just telling people. I ain't trying to be the devil's advocate or something. I'm just saying, think about other things. Yeah, I don't think we often think about that. That's all.
Yeah.
Any other thing, Herb?
Nah, that's it, man.
Got them baked wings going? Got that absolute going, or what? What's cooking?
I I don't know what I'm going to eat tonight. I thought about getting some chicken Alfredo. I have no idea what I'm doing. No wings though. I had wings and pizza last night. First time in about 2 months, man. I was due.
Okay, what's up with that absolute?
The pint, the Ciroc,
Yeah.
on the kitchen counter. I thought about sparking up something, but I said, no, that's a big bad wolf thing. I just gotta have some wine, but I didn't pour any. So, yeah.
Well, I know last week when we had a show, I knew I had a 2-hour delay, so I was like, "Oh, that's great." Then the next day, it was we ended up having a whole day off. Tomorrow, I ain't got shit popping off, so it's back to the grind.
Yeah, man, we got about 5-6 inches over the last couple of days, man. The streets have been terrible. I'm fortunate enough to where it doesn't affect me that much because I walk to work. But man, delivery last night was like an hour and a half, which is a little bit longer than normal. But I can't wait for this winter to be over. And I rarely do I say that, but this has been a tough winter. This is the first time in 37 years has been this cold in this area. So it's been cold.
All right. Well, all right, Shank, whenever, continue doing your thing. Next time I come up and y'all had that Saturday brunch and I'm there on the Friday, I'm coming through. I'm pulling up and see what it's about. But I appreciate you all and continue to like, share, grow. And remember, we got to support each other. We on a different, we got to be on a different path, whatever. We got people trying to take you down. We got to come together. But all right, good folks, everybody, be safe, be well, and enjoy your week. And on to the next. We out.
All right, people. Godspeed.